thinking that was formal then.
Anyway, this is my armor every day, so I can get to pick and choose. I just texted Mark, I'm leaving back. I'll possibly be there. Need a bigger carb on this. Whistles every time. I have to take an drill bit and
You don't get enough air in that.
walk in. Listen. It's very nerve-wracking. People next to me are like looking at me, what the heck are you guys doing there?
You sure the whistling's coming out of your cover and not
That was probably my ears. Hollow whistling going through my ears. We have Mark with us?
Yes. Do you have, solicitor list as well?
Planes on it, you're getting some. Very excited.
Let's see if we can find something that says it's not good.
I'll just remain standing.
Might as well. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
Very well yourself. You gonna stay?
So I'm gonna stay standing as well.
Yes, it's time. I'd like to call to order the May 2nd, 2017 meeting of the Ralph Township Planning Commission. Please stand as we all recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Roll call, Vince. Here. Mark. Brent. Here. Myself. Harvey will be joining us shortly, I believe. Any citizen input at this time?
Do we have any agendas?
Extras, I do not
Yes,
have,
I do.
but Mark's prepared as well.
Pass these down. It's our last month's minutes.
Excellent. I apologize, any citizen input right now? Okay. And any? Consideration of the April 2017 minutes. Give these a quick review. I'm exempt as I was unable to make it.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
So passed. Any objections? I'll look at you, Ed, since you're dealing with one. Okay, so passed is the April 2007. Right, seconded. Okay. Mark or company, any correspondence we wanted to review? Okay, old business.
Okay, sheets obviously, they're not here, and we're still, although I have been told that they've received their joint permit from DEP, which we thought was going to take longer. So I do expect them here at the June meeting. Everything is in the office, and I mean, boxes of stuff. My check, they're still looking to resolve the sewage issue. Until they do that, we can't, they can't move forward on that. The Helfrich minor subdivision, there was an issue with the sewage enforcement officer with Bill Breyer. Until that's resolved, they can't move forward on that one. Bill will notify me when he's satisfied with that, so that brings us to the Verano add-on subdivision, which we
Alright. Just gonna ask if, are we able to join them? Brent, do you prefer a slide on frame? What's that, Tom?
My pen? You my pen to hold that down.
I think we're, better be a beefy pen. So what's the brand?
Okay, when we look through this one, we have the sewage, we have the Cumberland County Planning Commission, we have a copy of the deed. Obviously, we don't need anything from Mike McCleary. There's no earth-moving activity at all, because it's an add-on. So it's just a matter of reviewing the plan.
Okay.
And we did do, I was looking for it over there, we did do a review, but if you remember, the one thing that we asked for was to show the lot that it was being added to in its entirety, so that we could show that there was frontage.
Was this first presented last month?
Yeah, and this was, and it was cut off here.
It was this lot here.
Yeah, we didn't have the full lot dimensions that showed that it had frontage on Airport Road.
Okay.
So that was the last, actually, that was the last thing that we were looking for. Because if, without that being shown, this didn't have any frontage at all. So, I'm not sure where Harvey has the checklist.
That's all right, so give me the cliff notes if you'd be so kind. Well,
Okay, this is the parent track is this, all of this, okay? This was originally, had preliminary approval as a development with a road that came in, and I forget how many lots that was, it was like,
It was Shepherd's Pond.
yeah, it was called Shepherd's
Around
Pond.
13 lots, something like that.
He requested in writing that we dispose of that preliminary plan, it never went to final.
okay.
And now he's selling this portion as an add-on to this lot. And he's keeping this portion. So that's all we're really doing, is we're adding this section to this.
Okay. All right.
So, like I said, I think Harvey has that filled out, but,
Oh, okay.
Mark, you received a letter from the County Planning Commission.
yep, I have a copy of it, Debbie. Debbie got me a copy of it.
Brent, I'm gonna have to steal your book this evening. Yeah. I did not even make it home yet.
If you don't have it, you can have my copy.
No.
I could have sworn Debbie, yeah, here it is, April 25th.
Yep.
Okay, yep, got it. Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, the home, I think, is on this.
We're getting there, Brent.
And then this is another one, but this is, yeah, that, ultimately, we have to deed this off.
Guessing that's what you
That's
said.
one.
We're looking to take a peek at.
See, this one, because it's an add-on, it's 9,
You're gonna put 11.
What's that?
Part 11?
yeah,
So is your-
you're gonna, this doesn't need the preliminary checklist.
So,
This goes right to final, because it's just an add-on, and I think you wanna be in
305.
part 11 of 27.
Part 11 of 22.
or 22, I'm sorry. So it would be the other book.
Who wants it? I got it.
Me without my blue binder.
Yeah, check out, part 11, 1101, classic, add-ons.
We got a ways to go yet. A little too far, we just need 11. Oops, sorry. 10, we're getting there.
I got 2269, Mark. This is my page number.
Not for 22, part 11.
I think we have two.
That's-
numbers.
Yeah, we,
Add-on
2283.
2283,
All right.
that could be.
For anyone following along. Okay, so purposes part, still allow the creation of an add-on lot through a simplified procedure. Add-on subdivisions involve parcels of land that may or may not meet all the requirements of the law as defined by these regulations for the district in which it is located. Add-on subdivisions allow owners to land to subdivide land and convey such subdivisions to adjacent property owners. The subdivision shall not create a non-conforming lot of the residue land after subdivision. The lot created by the add-on subdivision shall be conveyed to the adjoining property owner and adjoining, my apologies, property owner, and shall be considered to be an extension of that property owner's original lot. Any additional development of this new combined lot shall meet the requirements of all township ordinances.
okay, so the key in there is that subdivision shall not create a non-conforming lot. So this is still conforming when we take what we're adding. We are still conforming 11 acres. It's got frontage. It's got the required frontage. This is actually in residential. Anything on this side of Blue Church Road is residential. So we're not creating a non-conforming.
Okay. Only a final plan submission is required for add-on subdivision. The developer or subdivider shall provide 5 copies of the subdivision plan with the requisite fee and application form with the commission. Both check and check. Excellent. Review. The planning commission will review the plans and approve or disapprove the same within 60 days, or it shall be deemed the plan has been approved. The review will basically be concerned with the following items. A, that the future street pattern of the area will not be adversely affected by the proposed subdivision.
It results in no change because there are no future streets.
B, that the development does not create problems in the design of future utilities. Okay. Other factors such as geology, terrain, location, floodplain, etc. We're not in floodplain
Nope,
or
not
otherwise.
floodplain.
That the lots remaining after subdivision meet all applicable requirements of this chapter. After making the necessary changes, which is NA, I believe, well,
That's-
as you said.
yeah. The change that we required was to show the full
Yeah, but
extent.
it doesn't show the distance of the frontage, there's no dimension on the airport road plan.
That is correct. This is something actually I talked to Todd about, one of the discussions we had. Since we're not subdividing that lot, we don't survey that lot. I'm pretty loath to put a survey dimension on that for something that I've never surveyed.
And we can just use the scale.
Yeah,
And look at it and see
and
if
do
it's-
we need that dimension
Well, yeah,
defined
because
there? It's
how
a,
can you say this lot here has, this is a conforming lot if you don't have the frontage? That was the concern before, when it didn't continue all the way over to Airport Road, we couldn't see the frontage. Now we see that there is frontage, but we don't know the dimension of it.
And that was sort of part 2 of my conversation with the solicitor, is that the requirements are the residue that we're leaving behind still conforms to everything. You know, we can't make anything worse, even if it was an existing nonconformity, by giving it additional land. That's
Right,
what the
we're
ordinance
not-
is concerned with.
You can't make-
even if that frontage was non-conforming,
Right.
we're not adding to the non-conformity by reducing that frontage.
I think in
So let's say
fairness-
that the frontage requirement was 30 feet when that lot was established. It's a grandfathered non-conforming. Adding this acreage does not increase the non-conformity with the current
I don't see how you can, what is this, 11 acres, I'm having trouble reading that. Well, you add on 11?
We're adding 15.
Oh, 15, so, you know, how do you add 15 to a lot and then say it's worse? I don't think you can. And then in fairness, but I think you could use the scale on this thing and determine the frontage.
Well, it says 1 inch equals a foot, and that's just a little, 1 inch equals 100 feet, and that's a little over an inch. About 1 3/8 inches.
Okay, so by the scale, we know we have the frontage for
I think that's
residential.
I think it's a fair way to look at it.
So it doesn't be on the plan?
I don't, the ordinance says we have
We're
to.
saying this is a conforming lot because we can read the number of 122.95 square feet, but there is no number over there.
Do you think that
I'm
the
not-
scale is,
Yeah, I'm not losing sleep over it. I think it's okay.
I will make a note.
Because we're bound by what the ordinance says, and the ordinance says we only consider that the residue is conforming. So that would be the add-on portion. And these get read against us anyway, so, you know, to say we're gonna reject it because of that, I think we're on pretty weak ground.
Okay, moving forward. The approval process, 1104. Plan is found to conform to this chapter. The planning commission shall approve and sign the plan and submit it to the board of supervisors for approval. After approval by the board of supervisors, the subdivider shall record the plan in the office of the Northumberland County Recorder of Deeds within 90 days and furnish the board of supervisors proof thereof. 1105 format, add-on subdivision plans conform to the following. A, title block. Title block check, add-on.
okay,
Title block shall show the name of the subdivision, municipality in which it is located, name and address of the owner, name, address, and seal of the engineer or surveyor, and the date of preparation.
okay, this is, date last revised, 4/7/17.
Check.
Okay.
The name and address is over here.
Should be good.
It says owner information.
Location sketch. A location sketch shall be shown north-oriented to the top of the drawing, showing the subdivision in relationship to contiguous roads and land. A USGS map at a scale of 1 inch equals 2,000 feet may be used as source information. A tract map shall also be provided on a scale same as the Northumberland County tax assessment maps and shall show the proposed subdivision and residue land.
There and there.
Location top track map.
And we do have the one thing we're always looking for.
Yep, got a benchmark, excellent. Okay. Got the appropriate contours. I'm assuming vertical datum, North American vertical datum. Okay.
Go down in the survey notes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. C, plan information shall be as outlined in the preliminary plan and final plan requirements section of this chapter as applicable.
So we've just got the one, so.
D, accompanying data shall be submitted as required by this chapter.
We have the deed, you said? Yep. Everything is here, we've got the deed.
There, we didn't hit any road bumps or anything.
We've got the deed, we've got the Northumberland County Planning Commission, we've got the sewage planning module, so we have everything.
Okay.
There's no ground disturbance proposed, so.
Excellent. E, submission, distribution, review, and action by the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors shall be in accordance with 305 of this chapter. Check. F, a note shall appear on the subdivision plan indicating that the add-on subdivision is quote-unquote not for development.
It's note number 6 in the top left. And that's the standard DEP language there.
Okay.
I apologize, Josh, which, you said the recording notes?
Yeah, recording note,
Number s-
number 6.
No wetlands delineation has been performed as part of this plan, the National Wetland Inventory.
No, I think you're under,
Survey notes, okay.
Actually, that was verbatim, number 6, regarding, that was pertaining to wetlands.
let me try to not read it upside down.
Okay.
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, here we go. As of today's leave, recreational use, no portion of this property or for the installation of any sewage disposal facility, no permit will be issued for the installation of construction connecting any sewage.
So that's the DEP plan
Yeah,
waiver
it's-
form.
Okay. Todd, you're here. Any issue with the literal verbiage of
No, we're okay.
kosher? Cool. Continuing on, and shall further indicate to whom the add-on subdivision is to be conveyed.
That'd be this note right here.
Excellent. The note shall also include a statement that the residue lot after subdivision meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
No, actually, I've added the note, rather than zoning data for the residue lot. Showing that we still maintain the acreage and haven't changed our lot width or frontage.
Check. Moving on to section 1106, additional subdivision. No further subdivision of an add-on subdivision will be permitted unless it can fully meet the requirements of this or subsequent ordinances. Okay. What other sections, Mark? To the best of my knowledge, that's what Harvey runs through. Okay.
I'll make
With
a
all that
motion,
said, I was just gonna say, Mark, this.
I'll make a motion to approve, the add-on, the add-on subdivision. Second.
Don't know the words Harvey rattles off verbatim, but,
You want me to do that?
yeah, fire away.
Properly moved and seconded on the question. All those in favor?
There he is.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Harvey,
Good evening.
we're gonna put you back in play here.
You're good, keep going. I'll watch the master at work.
Yeah, all right. So you and I should have had a little session this weekend.
You know, let's just give
Have
these,
Mark rattle off the verbiage.
just hand these right
Yeah.
to Josh.
That's what I was gonna ask, would you like me to get county signatures on there before the
Yeah,
supervisor?
I mean, if you could, and then,
It's not a problem.
yeah, I mean, you wanna do that, and then we can sign it tonight,
Okay,
and then if you do that, and then just get it back to me by Tuesday at 25 after 6.
yep.
Okay. So that's it for this one.
Mark, I apologize, did we pass the health?
No, the Helfrich subdivision is being held up. I'll explain that one now very briefly. The Helfrich minor subdivision is in limbo. They did ask for an extension, which was granted.
Okay.
When Bill Breyer, when they submitted the sewage planning module and Bill went up to look at it, he found that there is a structure on the quarry section of that property that does not have a documented sewage disposal system.
Okay,
So until he resolves that, we can't do anything, because we won't have his approval. So, basically that's in limbo until we hear otherwise. And if it goes, I have the date marked down, if it gets close to that date, we'll just have to ask the supervisors to extend it.
Did they find a building permit for the structure?
There is no building permit for the structure. Brian Corson has a zoning application. So when we get that plan, we're going to have to review that part of, what is that section that says that an amended plan,
The procedure we deem appropriate.
the procedure we deem appropriate, so we'll have to discuss what we deem appropriate. They will be getting a zoning permit, and they will be getting building permits, and Steve Belsky will be inspecting the building.
The building's finished.
Building's finished. And then Bill Breyer will be doing the sewage component of it to make sure that the system that they hooked it to can handle the sewage, and then it will come to us, and we'll have to decide if we want to require anything additional.
If I may, I have a couple of sketch plans here tonight that upon speaking to Todd, knowing that he was going to come here tonight, said, hey, I'll show up at the same time so we can all discuss before I start bringing preliminary plans in. Is that okay?
Yep, yep.
We've marked it already aware of both of these sketch plans that I'd like to discuss. Start with the easier one first here. This is a property owned by the Lebos on Old Reading Turnpike, next to the Kingdom Hall Church at Romanesque Lane. And they're proposing a minor subdivision to create 4 lots out of 1. 2 of the lots are to be added on to existing parcels. On this add-on lot number 2, it's going to go to more property owned by the Lebos to the north as farmland, to keep their farmland consolidated. Add-on lot number 1 is to be conveyed to the church. Add-on lot number 3 is to be a conforming lot with the existing house and septic on it. And the residue is all on the south side of Reading Turnpike, is to just remain non-building residue. It's currently agricultural land, and it's going to stay ag. The reason I wanted to come in tonight is relatively straightforward. There's no improvements proposed. However, there's a question on the zoning conformance for the church. In addition to this project, the church is looking to expand their parking lot, which would be greater than 5,000 square feet and require stormwater review by the township's engineer. Well, it's been determined they don't need to do land development. They still need to do that stormwater process. And there's a question as to what the lot coverage would be once that parking lot is added. And so we want to make sure that we're conveying enough land to them that they can build the parking lot. That's the whole reason they're getting any land as part of their subdivision in the first place. So I know I talked to Mark a little bit about the requirements there. I talked to Todd a little bit about the requirements. We're in the agricultural forest district. The zoning ordinance says the maximum, I think it says maximum lot coverage. It says maximum lot coverage or maximum building coverage. So it'll not be greater than 20%. So that's what we're looking at, trying to make sure, does the parking lot go towards that building coverage? I know from talking to you, Mark, your initial thought was yes. I was looking at the definition some with Todd. I want to make sure the verbiage is correct here so I don't mislead you. So what words does that use exactly? Was it lot coverage?
That uses maximum building coverage.
Okay. So building coverage and impervious coverage don't have definitions. The definition in the zoning ordinance is lot coverage, which is any buildings or roofed structures. In this district, for some reason, there's only one coverage defined, and it's building coverage. There are other districts where there's both building and impervious. In one of the districts, says the greater of roof structures, some other structures or parking lots, none of them shall exceed 30%. So that's what we're looking at. If we're truly going by the definition of lot coverage, we're not proposing any roof structures, so the addition of parking lot wouldn't go against it. But I don't want to bring a plan in here and get it approved when they go to get their stormwater, any zoning permit for putting improvements in, and find out that we're not all on the same page. And
How many square feet is the part you're proposing to add on?
the parking lot,
Yeah. So how many, the
The
add-on, what's the
acreage.
total? add-on?
We're looking at 0.54 acres,
So that's,
and they're looking at about
20,000 square feet or?
yeah, about 22, 25, somewhere in there.
The parking lines that are here,
Yeah.
is that proposed?
Yeah, this is proposed extending out here. The existing, there's a line that runs down through those stalls as depicted. The existing is back here.
I see.
Okay.
So the question is, what are we considering? What goes against that 20%?
Our ordinance says building. I'm not sure why it says that. I don't know if the theory is because you have such a larger lot size requirement in Ag Forest that they're not worried about it. Because when you look at the commercial and the other structures, they actually say, here's your maximum impervious. This doesn't have
When
a,
you combine the two lots and you take off, the building isn't 20% of the two lots.
Now, the building is
Technically,
7.65.
technically it's okay.
It might also be because, now this isn't commercial, but a commercial, in Ag Forest, it probably wasn't very likely that you were going to have to worry about a parking lot.
Is this the current lot?
Yeah, this dark blue line is their current lot. This line here is the proposed add-on that would go to them, this section over here. And again, they sort of approached the Lebos and said, we'd like to put a parking lot over here, would you be willing to convey? I'm not sure if the Lebos are a member there or not. They all certainly seem very friendly and interactive on the process, so.
So a strict reading of the ordinance basically says that we're only gonna consider the building, but that they're gonna require stormwater.
I think the stormwater saves us if you're, as far as making sure the runoff is not too great, or it's running off and not being controlled. It kind of bothers me that, under our definition, you could pave the entire lot, and we'd say no issues. That does kind of bug me, but that's not what it says, and frankly, it's not what they're doing, so. I was looking, do we have another section, Mark, if you know, of parking only, or
We have a parking section, 527.
505?
505, but that talks about requirements.
Per seat?
Yeah, per seat.
Yeah, I'm just looking, there's nothing here that I can see about coverage.
No, the parking section talks about the need for paid parking and number of parking places per seat for a restaurant or per square foot for retail.
Well, the parking lot may
So,
not necessarily be impervious.
This is original.
Yep.
Okay.
True.
So lot 1, 2, 3, and residue. So you're missing kind of a,
Right there's the right-of-way line, is the dividing line there. I suppose I can make that darker.
Yeah, offices, one space for each
You would
200
want-
square
you would
feet. Bowling
deed
alleys.
purposes, you would want,
No, so for deed, it's actually going to get written to the right-of-way line.
oh, really?
Yep.
Hmm?
And your lot requirement is, that's the state's right-of-way. So they own it unless they would ever file to vacate it. At that point,
Okay.
then this would actually revert back to them.
More deserving than you.
Yeah, absent that, your lot area is, even per ordinance, excludes any public right-of-ways.
Yep.
So what do we think here, gentlemen?
Did they say it was gonna be a paved lot, or?
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a paved lot, yeah. I think what's out there currently is paved.
Is paved.
It looks like they're going to resurface existing, I would assume they're gonna stop and only do gravel.
I agree with Todd. I think the requirement for a stormwater plan saves us, but that might be something that we want to include in.
That's exactly, when I was talking to Josh, I thought, maybe we should make this as part of our discussion, because it just doesn't seem
No,
It should
reasonable.
be, should be, should be conveyed across all
out of the norm
lanes.
to have only one spelled out like that. It's definitely out of the norm.
What's your guess, Josh, as the existing lot coverage when you put the existing structure and the existing parking lot?
Oh, he's way over.
Yeah, it's over 20, I think
It's
there's
over 20%,
17,800 of total impervious, and it's a 1 acre lot currently, when you take out the right of ways. So they were somewhere around like that 40%.
35-40%.
And then when you add on the new one, basically we'd have to add on a whole chunk of field to make them conform. But then the Levos lose their ability to necessarily farm. You know, ideally they'll sign some 100-year lease on to farm, but it's not guaranteed.
So you're saying you're adding 22,000 feet and 5, round numbers, adding 22,
No.
or 5 would be paved?
22,000, total new paving is 8,000. They're over 5, but it's 8,000 total.
So it sounds like we're gonna keep about the same ratio,
Yeah, a little bit better.
a little bit better, but there is no specific maximum,
Right.
so.
I think under our reading of the ordinance, I think we're okay.
I would say we should contact our solicitor.
And see if we can look into that impervious.
See if we
No,
can-
just to see if that's okay.
See if we can make that change.
Was there any way for
The purpose
future
is, if,
pavement, if you will? Not the proposed, but the
yeah,
beyond the proposed? Like put a restrictor plate on it?
You're saying, yeah, you're doing this now, but is there gonna be any future?
How do we do that? How do we support that?
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Again, nothing's in
How do we
place.
say, okay, you could do this, but that's it?
We have to wait till we adopt to change our ordinance. And then
How you can do that,
Right, and then in the future, anything would be,
as far as their process, they would be coming to you for a zoning permit, at which point you say, looks like you also need a stormwater management approval from the township engineer.
right?
The other thing I want to avoid is, you know, I know you're actively reviewing the ordinances. I don't know if this get built 3 months after approval or 11, 12 months after approval. So we think it's very likely that there's a change going through, that they'd be denied a zoning permit at that time. But, you know, I guess at that point, they'd be coming in for a variance request and asking the zoning hearing board to put a restriction against it further. And if they don't get that, then I'll be coming in with a second add-on subdivision.
they need a paving permit, or?
No, they would need stormwater, they would need a zoning permit to install impervious coverage. They would need a stormwater review, they'd have to put up the $2,500 engineering escrow to have Larson Design Group make sure that the water's not all, you know, going into the neighbor's, you know, kitchen. But that is a good question. If we approve that,
I think that would cause them a complication.
right, because we're approving it because we don't have that restriction.
And you're not going to be approving their parking lot as part of the subdivision.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna be approving the subdivision. Then they come back, if the ordinance changes, and they present, they say, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna say, well, you can't. You
It
know,
almost, you know, we don't have to do landfill, it's one of those things that would almost be better, because that's the only thing that really vests us. The zoning permit's good for 6 months.
zoning permit, you have to start in 6 months and finish in 2 years.
So if
So
they started stripping topsoil within 6 months,
we're good for 2 years.
okay, they might be okay then.
Are they, is there public sewer out there? No?
No,
No. No, the current church is served by on-lot septic, it's approximately there. The current house has on-lot septic beside it over here.
And when you add on, what's gonna be your total?
The total will be 1.54 instead of 1.
That's the other thing, but we have a two acre minimum out there, but they are making it better.
they're reducing the nonconformity. And the residual lot will still be in conformity. So, I don't know that we've run into that before, where you're taking a lot that is non-conforming, there's no way it's conforming. You're not bringing it into conformity, but you're bringing it much closer.
Yeah.
And the way I read it, you can't do anything that increases nonconformity.
And I think that's why we go back to that issue with the frontage on Airport Road, because, you know, if you're gonna say we wanna make sure that the existing lot conforms, well, a whole lot of existing lots don't conform.
Right, so we're not increasing the nonconformity, we're decreasing.
So Todd, what's the timeline for the review and analysis of?
We're gonna look at that in a little bit. So it could be, in theory, we could have this thing adopted against your client in about 60 days.
Right.
So,
So part of your meeting later this evening is to go over the proposed ordinance.
Right.
If you recommend it to the supervisors, then they could act next week to advertise.
Right.
Okay.
we got the pending ordinance
Pending.
doctrine.
Right.
Um,
And I assume, I mean, I know that would affect any subdivision land development, would that affect the zoning permit as well?
Yeah, because we're changing chapter 27 of the zoning.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to issue.
Like,
There would then be
It's
that,
not in there now, but you just called it the wrong time. And we don't want to hold that against you, but we're just being straight with you.
Yeah.
Right now, it complies.
Okay, well, I guess I'll stay tuned to any recommended ordinances that come out. They'll be available for review once it's recommended to the
When
supervisors,
it's advertised, yeah.
once it's advertised. Okay. All right, so that's that one. Last one here, this is the fun one everybody's talking about. And I'll stop taking up your time so you can get on to your other matters. All right, this is the Feaskish Major subdivision on the corner of Turkey Hill and West Center Streets. The landowners have hired a auctioneer to hold a parcel auction for them. And part of that is they would like to subdivide off the combination of conforming building lots and add-on lots. The key here is, because they don't know who's gonna buy the lots till the auction, I can't list who the add-on lot goes to on the preliminary plan. So, I've been working with Todd, Mark, Township Engineer. Before I get to prelim, what do I do with this thing? So in talking to Todd yesterday, the one thing I was looking at is in section Article 11. A normal add-on could go right to final. This is gonna come in as preliminary because we have more than 5 building lots. So it's gonna get reviewed by the Township Engineer. There's gonna be stormwater management done for it. But ideally, we'd like to put these on the preliminary plan as well, instead of going through the process twice. So what I'm hoping to figure out is a way that we can put the add-on lots on here under preliminary, and then add the names over here in the title blocks for all the purchasers, who is the land going to be on there before we come back for final. Todd had asked me, are we allowed to sell before we get preliminary and sign agreements of sale? It sounds like, yeah.
I think the answer is yes, yeah.
My only real objection to that is, until we get through planning, I may sell something that says, you just bought 29,971 square feet. We come up with something that we need to tweak a little, going back to a potential buyer saying, guess what? Per preliminary approval, you're only buying 27,000. And they're gonna say, all right, so give me some money back. So that's why we'd rather have the add-ons here for preliminary, and unlike Verano, where I didn't have a signature block, we just put, hey, here's who's getting it. I was looking to cover the township by saying, we have these signature blocks on here. We all know nothing can be final and recorded without everybody signing it. To cover and make sure that meeting the requirement, final plan, everything on who it's going to would be on that plan. Understandably, though, Todd's concern is, you have something prelim showing add-ons without saying who it's going to. So, both sides of the coin there. Looking for
that are non-conforming.
right.
Who, are all the add-on lots, do they have an expressed buyer?
No, they're holding auction to the whole thing. Now, there's buyers, everybody around here has been inquiring, hey, can we buy some land? They don't want to sell individually. The whole purpose of the auction is to have, get the best price. So that's why I sent this language over to Todd to review, have those signature blocks there. The other note I had on here That there's 9 proposed conforming building lots with 1 existing dwelling, as well as 6 non-conforming non-building lots and no public improvements. No non-conforming non-building add-on lots shall be conveyed as standalone lots. All add-on lots shall be conveyed to the owner of an existing lot or parcel of record or the purchaser of a conforming building lot. So I'm trying to like double, triple cover us here, and putting the notes on there, making sure that those owners have to sign. If something doesn't sell at the time of auction, it's on me to come up with a name, who's gonna go on there so I can get final approval, because I can't get final approval without.
And I guess my question is, what if one of those non-conforming lots just doesn't sell?
Right, so that's on us. So the thing that we can't advertise as part of the auction is, and guess what? If this one here doesn't sell, we're giving it to one of you. Right, but, you know, it would be on us, we've gotta get final approval to sell the rest of them. It's gonna be on them to approach somebody and figure out somebody's gotta get that add-on lot to convey it to a conforming lot, or an existing lot of record, to one of the adjoiners outside our property.
And then, if we could do that, will a final plan eliminate the lot lines between, and join the non-conforming to the conforming to make them
Yes.
one big lot?
And so that was actually something that was requested. Somebody buys, say, lot 9, and they buy lot 4. When I come in for final, can I get rid of the line in between and just write it up as one contiguous parcel? The answer is absolutely. And I don't have a note, but I can add a note that lines between contiguously sold parcels will be removed prior to final. Now, the one I would not remove is an existing landowner out here who buys this. This is something the engineer brought up, Todd asked about. So when somebody buys an add-on lot, it has to go onto their deed. But without surveying their property, I can't write up meets and bounds as a contiguous parcel. So when we're doing these tiny lots, it's not a whole lot of extra cost to have a boundary survey on them. But as I was saying to Todd, you know, if you talk about 2 farmers swapping an acre of land on 100-acre farm surveys, that goes from $7,500 to $15,000 because I'm doing it twice. Because I can't write up a legal description for the 1 acre to be tract 2 held on the same deed. So that's the line I would not.
So if any of those sold one of those lots that would not be surveyed, would the final plan show, make a notation that not for further development?
Right, and that's the,
That would be, what I would be afraid of is somewhere down the line, someone tries to sell one of those lots.
right. So
It
just
has
like
no
we had with
frontage.
the other add-on plan, just like we had with the church, it's gonna have that same recording note for DEP's language that, you know, lots, add-on lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are hereby dedicated for recreational use only, and they're not approved for septic, no permit shall be issued for septic, any of such, and then they'll be held on the same deed.
But that would only be if they went to people over on camera.
Right.
Not-
Otherwise,
If
here,
they went to
it'll
that
just be written up
L-shaped
as
lot
one.
there off of West Center, you
Right,
would
it should
need
be
that.
one big conforming lot. And the reason, well, part of the reason we cut this line off right here was to try and hit the, was it 2.5 to 1 width to depth ratio out of the gate, and not have a whole lot of crazy shaped lots. But, you know, obviously, if I ran that line all the way back, you'd have a bad lot.
Now, Neil said that he's done this before. Does he have literature or something,
I have no idea.
or an example that he could,
So
when you
Neil-
guys come in with this, that he could come in and say, look, here's what we did here's what we did at this piece of property, and here's how it worked out?
Yeah.
I
think
don't know if he has
certainly
that.
can do that. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Buffalo County produce auction, Buffalo Snyder County produce auction. There's 2 out there, and again, Buffalo Valley, that's what it is. So Neil owns that as well. They've done a number of these parcel auctions. I've never been involved with one of these projects. So it's a little bit of a first time for me. Like I said, I mean, if the only thing that's different between this and Verano is I don't know who the name is yet. But I'm also submitting it as prelim only at first.
Todd, would we be able to even approve it?
I was telling Josh, I am less than lukewarm on this whole concept.
Well, I got a couple of things I'd like to ask. lots 9, 8, 7, and 6, and 5 all have road frontage on Turkey Hill Road, correct?
Yep.
And they meet the standards, and if we just had to look at that, 5 building lots, those meet the standards.
Yes,
Is that correct? Okay. So 6 looks to me, or 5 here, comes down here and here, correct?
yes,
This lot has no frontage, but has parcels around it where people own homes, as in this lot does, lot 1. This gentleman lives here, I'm not sure, like, does he own this whole piece?
no, there's 3 owners, dividing lines right there and there.
Okay,
It's
so there's 3 owners that
Charles and
have a
Custom
chance
South,
here.
plus whoever would buy lot 5 or lot 4, because they'd be just.
They would be
adding
adjacent
on to
also,
the
okay,
building lots.
okay. This, this conveys lot 2, but the only thing surrounding it are parcels that aren't even sold yet.
Right,
There are no current homeowners around lot 2.
right.
Lot 2,
Now,
this is
somebody
lot
here could
2
buy
also.
both of those.
They could,
Likewise, somebody up here could buy all
just
the items.
follow me.
Gotcha.
Lot 2 here, because you have 2 lot 2s, by the way. Lot 2 here has road frontage on Center. And does that meet conformity?
Yes, that's the minimum 100 feet there.
Does lot 1 also?
Yes.
Okay, so these meet conformity. This one here has no local homeowners attached to it at this point. And lot 3 has nobody. I personally see those being an issue, because you're gonna take a chance that someone's gonna buy this and that, or this and that.
Right.
Here, we've got 4 people who might buy this. Here, we might have 2. Here, we have multiples. Here, we have multiples too. That's my concern. That's just me speaking, but these 2 here draw grave concern for me. The other thing that bothers me is that you are splitting a pond in half. And that's wetlands, and you're not gonna do anything with that.
Well, we're not doing any improvements up here.
Understand that?
Yeah.
Let me ask a crazy question. Could they just, at the auction, without anything from us, present this plan to prospective buyers with the disclaimer that all sales contingent upon approval of final plan?
That's what I told Josh I've always done.
Just, we don't even need to see it. And then when it's all sold, bring us a final plan that's in conformity.
Yeah, because somebody might buy half of them.
Right.
And you can
Because one
also,
big
you can
one.
also solve the issue with the, 27,000 versus 25 grand clause that says we're gonna prorate the price based on a square footage basis, and that would solve that.
Yeah, but you may have just priced somebody out till you get a final plan. Hey, the final here has an extra 7,000 square feet, you didn't have enough money to buy that. So I don't wanna do that, we're gonna be coming back here and begging you guys to approve, however work out your sale, whether you like it or not. And then one of us is gonna go home sad.
Would we be better off just not even touching it? All sales contingent
I
upon
think-
final approval of a subdivision plan by Ralph Township Planning
I-
Commission and Supervisor.
I think if Josh brings this to us, we go through the checklist that they went through, and we reject it because the easy one is you have to identify who it's getting sold to. We just
Right.
went through that whole list. And then,
Or even if he has prospective buyers with contract, or, that this has already been done, I see your
Well, see,
problem.
that's why we,
You may have a whole different drawing.
so I think that's why we say we only want a final plan, because we want to, it's not a big deal. Just tell us who you're adding it to, make sure you meet the requirements, and we're gonna approve it. There's like no speculation, there's no.
For the add-on part.
Yeah.
But see, to get to that, I can't leave these 6 lots as residue. If I came in with just the proposed building lots, I can't leave those as residue, they're a non-conforming lot.
No, but after the sale, they won't be residue, they'll be attached to a conforming lot.
Right, but I can't even take these building lots through prelim. So I have
Well, we would
a
just
couple
tell
months
you
of
that.
planning to do after the auction and hope that everything works out. That's what I said, I think I'm leaving you guys, I'm bringing a much bigger mess to you where we've promised property to people and have agreements of sale and taking money, it's something that you guys haven't had a say on. That's why I was hoping that there's some validity to what I was saying with, you're not reviewing the add-on checklist because it's not a final yet. Even if I show that as phase 2 only requires final approval, so that you are, do something that the add-on lots have no approval at all as part of the preliminary. At least gets me onto the same plan, it's phase 2, that's why we know why there's, the residue is not an issue. Gets you out of saying that you've approved anything preliminarily, they only require a final, and I'd have names for you at that point.
Just, practically though, as we talked, nobody reads that note. And everybody's just gonna see Ralph Township Planning Commission approve this thing, and they're not gonna understand what they're signing. And that's not your fault or our fault. And I think, I don't think we're saying to Josh, hey, you're crazy by being here, because I can see his point. He'd like to see how these things are broken up.
I, understandably, we could say just sell these and then come back to us, because then these lines would be all different. They'll still be the same lines, but they'll be put together and stuff.
Yeah.
That bothers me in the protection of Ralph Township. Now, Todd, tell me if I'm wrong. This is a very large body of water. And if you're gonna have two different people own it, and there's an issue, which there might be an issue with water in Elysburg from time to time, if there's an issue with this, who's responsible? Well, it was your half of the lake. No, it wasn't, it was my half. No, it was yours. Okay, who owns that? Who's gonna be responsible if there's an issue with that lake or that pond? Both owners? One owner? I mean, because it's gonna come back to the township.
You're talking if there was some kind of,
Let's say there's a breach of the dam.
Let's say something happens.
Right on the dividing line.
Yeah, and now, taking another step. A child drowns right here. I'm quite frankly, quite surprised to see a body of water split in half on a property.
You've never seen that before.
That really concerns me for those two
I
reasons.
mean, keep in mind, we got a stream through here that's cut all to pieces.
The only thing I
I
can
mean, we're looking at
contribute,
this because it's not evidently flowing when you're there, and obviously it's more than a run, but.
the only thing I see your point. The only thing I could say is nobody could do anything to it, even if it's dual ownership without DEP getting involved. But if something happened, I see your point.
Who's responsible for dam breach currently?
Whoever owns it. I can tell you, all the neighborhood children where we live have been at that pond.
Yeah.
It's an attraction. And in the mind of the safety of the residents of Ralph, but also protecting the township, that's a body of water. And if I'm a homeowner, do I want to own half of the pond? I think it's gonna be-
40 feet over here, you do.
Well, I'm not gonna disagree with that, but that's what I'm getting at, because now we're gonna have Anscus's, because of that situation, say, oh, I'll buy this right away. Okay, that's fine. They go to resell their house. The next homeowner who's looking to buy that now owns half a body of water, maybe that's not such a good thing to them.
Then they won't buy.
Then they won't buy. But it's our job to protect the citizens of Ralph Township.
Yeah,
And cutting a body of water.
Honestly, I have not given any consideration, we're looking at cutting in half so that there's recreation for two different people.
And I don't know the background of that pond, quite frankly, I've never been there. My kid can tell me all about it. I don't know if that was a design pond or if that was an existing pond, I have no idea.
As I understand, that's been there a long time, but
Back to the
I don't
Alvin
know
Richard days.
when it was built, put in. I just know that this run comes down in, that run goes out to a double culvert in that subdivision over there as well. So,
Like, I'm not the developer, but they're hedging to try to maximize dollars and cents. At some point, you have to put all your eggs in a basket and say, these non-conforming lots, lottery, whatever, attach them to a lot, sweetens the deal for that lot, and then a prospective buyer says, I'm targeting that has more acreage. So when it first would land on this piece of real estate here, every lot would be conforming. You could put the, who it's being relayed to, and it aligns with a very logical methodology used to date. Now, it's not up to me to decide where those non-conformings get attached, that's up to the
Right. person
that says, I feel comfortable based off of hearsay in the community or whatnot, I think if I put it on this lot, still beef up the cost of, you know, you're just now doing simple math, A plus B. I don't, just, I'm of the guys here that, it's a very non-familiar approach.
Round numbers, what's your total acreage?
17 and a quarter. That's an example, sorry.
That's okay.
Actually, just
See you better.
17 and a quarter.
See you better.
These must be the daughters
Yes.
of Mildred, okay.
We can talk to supervisors and I think, you know, we're open for whatever your auctioneer would give us, but I think right now we're gonna say that we will not, well, you guys don't have to listen to me either, but I'm just reading the section here and reading the requirements that we just went through, and it's not gonna meet our add-on. And I don't think it helps that it's only a preliminary versus a final, because we're telling you, we only wanna see the final, because we want to have certainty before we approve.
I was looking at it as you just want to be nice.
There's a
and
second
give me one
chance.
less step and
Give you,
say you only need to go through final.
I can,
You only
I
need
can,
half as many plants.
I can fully appreciate why you're here.
I mean, that makes it, like I said, I don't know what to do with this, you know, even if I come in with the major, I don't know what to do with the residue if I can't have it even accounted for here. Because I know the major is gonna get rejected based on, well, you have
The inclusion of
non-conforming
those.
residue.
Yeah, you'd have to
It very
include
well.
all your, you could do the standalones, or make the residue just big enough that you have one conforming lot, and then don't sell that one, just sell the ones that conform and, you know, line up.
Yeah, that's,
I say just
you're
go
gonna have an
ahead
auction,
with
you
your,
can't not.
I just go ahead with your auction, and it is where it is.
Can Neil, he says he's done, you know, at the meeting, he said, you know, he's done this, and it's, where did he do it, and how did they deal with it?
who is Neil?
He
He's
is
auction
the agent for those.
Okay.
He's the one who's the, you know, the pitch man behind these parcel auctions. I mean, I can have him come in.
I'm just curious if he could say, well, we did it here, and this is how they handled the fact that these lots
Yeah.
were non-conforming, or, you know, just to give us an idea. I understand from the meeting that this provides the absolute best value to the seller. I understand that, and I understand that's why they want to do it, and that's,
Right.
I would want to do it too. It's just, is there a way that, because right now, if that plan came to us, we would have to reject
so.
it.
I think so.
And so, you know, I can have Neil come in, but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
the township may not have had a problem, because if they didn't have the same section in their ordinance.
I can't see
And it's
township
sort of
not
irrelevant that
having
they said
something
yes.
that requires frontage.
Well, your add-on section doesn't require frontage, but it does require that the name be on there. So if another township doesn't require that the name be on there, well, that's how. Like I said, if I had names on all this today, the only thing we'd be discussing is there something in the ordinance to make sure we're not splitting the pond up.
Yeah,
You mean a name that somebody bought, is gonna buy this and
To
this?
say, add-on lot number 3 is going to Joe
Right.
Smith, who rents lot number 6.
Right.
Right, then
I
everything
think
would
that's
be
what we're
perfectly
saying,
set.
but it's after the auction.
Right. So that leaves me with somehow selling lot 5 with everything maybe, that's sold, and part of their agreement of sale is that they have to allow it to be further subdivided.
Well, no, I think, well, we don't want to tell you how to have your client sell their property, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having the auction as you propose. And then maybe everything will work out perfectly. You come in here with a final plan and
Well, like right now, we have concern as to if all these sold exactly as I have them, right? And I came in here and I told you what names were on this plan. We have concern about where I put this line up here and sold this lot. So I'd really rather get those issues out now, give you a say before
I don't know of anything in our code that says a body of water can't be. I understand Harvey's point,
Yeah.
but
I can tell you right now, I will vote no if that body of water split in two, personally. I think it's a real disaster for Ralph Township in the future. Unless you can prove to me that there's another body of water split in two in Ralph Township. From an existing, I think that's a legal liability for the township and also the people buying the land. Because your insurance on your house is gonna go up.
So, has there been any discussion, Josh, of following the line of the southernmost edge?
So I originally had quite a few more on here, and Mark saw that. This is about the third iteration of where these lines are. Now, I think most discussions have been that, yeah, we want to chop that off. There's about 3 people interested along that touch those 2 lots. That's just 3 that I've sent letters, so the more lots there, the better. Yeah, like I said, Harvey, that never crossed my mind. You know, I was purely looking at it as, hey, the more people that have their own property to stand there and fish, the better.
How do we expose?
I was like, yeah, you know, we want more of those add-on lots where people can pitch a tent on one side of the pond on their own land.
Yeah, to me, unless somebody can sell me differently, it provides liability for homeowners and liability for the township, because if something happens between 2 homeowners and they get feuding over a piece of body of water, they're gonna come right here to the township supervisors to settle it. We have people coming in here because your water's coming into my yard and causing mosquitoes in my puddle at the edge of my yard, and you know what I'm talking about. Let alone a full body of water. I mean, I'm looking at the protection for everybody involved, future homeowners and Ralph Township.
So I think one of the things you had mentioned about maintenance there, I mean, is that something that, if there was a maintenance agreement that went with the sale of those lots, would it alleviate that? And it repairs, the owner of add-on 5 is required to pay 70%, the owner of add-on 6 is required to pay 30%, and
I don't know what maintenance there is, quite frankly. I've never been, I'm gonna be back there now this weekend, I guarantee you that.
we'll make
Take a
sure
walk back
there's
and take a
well-marked iron pins that, you know, show you where not to be, so.
I will make sure. Well, I'll look at it this way, if I'm at the shed, I'm good, right?
Well, no,
Huh?
that shed is, that's it.
But if I'm around the shed, I'm okay, because I'm not on their property, so.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, I
that
just,
shed could become a problem.
yeah, well, I know her.
People
she's
are
a-
mowing sort of every which way,
Yeah.
there's movable sheds in varying degrees, if not quite on the right properties. All right, so, look, that aside, it sounds like the answer is no, and probably not gonna get any better. So, how do I handle, is there a way to handle doing that, showing that only on the final plan, and getting the rest of the major subdivision in for planning, where I don't have a problem leaving non-conforming residue? Ideally, I don't wanna have it on lot 5, it's gonna be some crazy complicated agreement of sale that you have to sign the record plan saying, you know I'm subdividing your property, but if I can't put the add-ons on the same plan, then that's pretty much it. You said you're not particularly okay with just phasing it, and only seeking prelim on phase 1, and then seek final all at once for phase 1 and 2.
Well, you could do preliminary on your lots that conform,
Right.
and then just make sure that all the stuff that you're planning to add on to somebody else is a residual.
Well, that's what I'm saying, now I'd have to put it all on lot 5, and then chop it off after the sale.
I was looking at
Or,
the centers.
You're saying this, here,
yeah,
you're saying. I don't see, I mean, what's the difference?
you're looking at putting it with the homestead. I mean, any which way,
I think you're wasting your time. I think you might as well just have your auction and see how
That's
it
the way it
goes.
is. Yeah, because what makes this lot really different from this lot other than that they have proposed buyers right off the bat.
Yeah.
We might have proposed buyers right here, you know, whoever's gonna look to build a house,
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to say that you're not gonna sell all those, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, I'm asking the question because I know they do not want to sell without having some kind of warm and fuzzy on things. That's why I'm asking if I can do some kind of phased, where we're not going for approval on phase two, but yes, we can have the non-conforming residue because it is part of a phased subdivision plan.
What would be phase two, I guess?
Phase two would be the add-ons, right? So the
Well-
add-ons, because that way
Well, you can't
we
show
don't
them.
come in for approval of phase one. This residue would be non-conforming to be part of phase two, but you're not giving it any approval. When I come in and seek approval of phase two, it says final only with all the names on there.
How about if you do this? How about if you take one of the conforming lots off the table, submit a plan where one of the conforming lots and all the non-conforming are one big lot?
Yeah. Then I gotta hold either two auctions or chop it off after I've sold it, with the understanding that they're buying something that's getting subdivided.
They
Or
probably
just don't sell, for example, the,
Right, I
The
can just
lot-
not sell it, and then I gotta hold a second auction after that part's approved.
right. Now you've got all of the conforming lots sold. And you've got one giant conforming lot that if you say, okay, we're gonna auction off,
Well, what's the difference? We're still telling you we're not gonna approve something that
But
has,
if I can show that as phase two that you're not acting on, without having it added on something, because it's part of phase subdivision, you're not giving any approvals, but I don't have to do something goofy where I have it actually attached to another lot. It's just jaded, it's phase two, we're not seeking any preliminary approval or comments on it.
what is phase
We
two
get through
gonna work
preliminary
just?
on phase one, we come back, we ask for final on phase one, and final on phase two.
I'm confused. When you're talking about phase two, are you talking about showing all those lots as you have them shown right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, see, we won't go with that.
I mean, so a phase plan, you know, phase two could change after the fact, because you're not seeking approval.
I
on
think-
phase two, right?
I don't know where my pen got to. Just take my pen, Brett. No, no. So just to use your example here, so if you have this big lot, and then you want to sell these 5 off,
Right.
we'll approve a plan that shows all those lots, and then just has this remaining
One
undivided.
big residual.
Yeah,
Without
because-
showing anything,
yeah,
yeah.
because as soon as you start putting this on it and say add-on, we're gonna say no. Right?
right, and then what I'm saying is
Or a phase
use,
that's not seeking approval.
But I think there's something in the code that says if there is a phase two, we need to see that before.
Well, we just don't know there's a phase 2,
True.
because how,
Well, you really don't until it's,
No,
until the rate sells.
No.
But what's the,
What happens when I bring in phase two, and the supervisor says, well, you knew about this, why didn't you put this on from the
Well,
start to meet the
yeah,
ordinance?
but it's not like you're selling lots out of the phase 2 already. You're better, I thought you'd better off just go to auction the way that is,
Right,
and
but
see what happens.
that's what I said, we would be selling lots out of phase. What we're saying here today is, we'd be better sell, pre-sell lots without having anything.
Then do it.
So I clearly know there's a phase two, if I'm selling all the lots back there from it, I don't.
but there wouldn't be a phase 1, phase 2, there'd be nothing.
You
Now,
have
if
two
I,
separate plans.
I would say this, and granted, I've got a stumbling block and you guys gotta sell me differently, but my opinion is, I agree with Todd, you've got it, I mean, you've got it pretty well, and a lot of it's explainable, there's 1 or 2 gray areas that, what if someone doesn't buy that, then the whole thing goes in the toilet, but, if you go into phase 2, what I feel that's a hardship on these folks financially, because you have to do two full rounds. And I don't think that's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna say we won't suggest that, or you go that route, but why make them spend more money when the land isn't gonna change? The
Well,
lines aren't gonna change.
I think you're talking too about 2 NPDESs,
right, and talking to the county, there won't be any MPS.
you know, okay.
That's.
So they're not
Chip
gonna
is
take
handling
the
Mike's work right
cumulative-
now. Chip is gonna be drafting an email. I told him, That's gonna sound a lot better coming from you, Chip, than from me telling the township.
So they're not gonna do a cumulative thing?
They're not.
Okay.
So then it's just gonna be the township stormwater on the lot controls that we talked about. And if Drew wants essentially a typical ENS plan, you know, like just I'll have a typical stormwater, if he wants me to send a typical ENS plan down there as well. Because anytime we're over 5,000 square feet, township requires I both send a plan for review and I show the stormwater. But we're not proposing any disturbance, but we agree there's likely going to be, you know, it's unlikely somebody buys the whole thing to keep it as ag. So whereas, yes, I like Harvey's line there of, you know, hardship, that would not be, we're not gonna have a good yes.
What's this break here?
That's a proposed stormwater easement, there's under drains that come from here to the ditch there. So we're just putting these around the pipe so they can maintain our pipe.
This has been the buzz of the neighborhood.
I'm aware, I've had people sending me letters as though I had.
This was gonna be a 37 lot, building lot development, I was told here 2 nights ago. I said, no, it's not. I said, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'll see it shortly.
If those two non-conforming to the north, just out of sheer curiosity, what deemed the delimiter? Why is that not 3 parcels versus 2?
What, you mean why they're so big?
You're saying these two.
So if the
or these
approach
two?
of the approach of the owner is,
Yeah.
let's
I had quite a few.
maximize my opportunity for dollars and cents coming in.
I had about 10 more there, because I was just told, show a bunch of that I want to be bid on. They said, get rid of a bunch of them. So I think the idea is, if you have 10 buyers, you don't want 11 pieces of property. You don't want 10. Somewhere around 5 or 6, you don't want 1.
So the approach is based off of interest expressed to date.
Yeah, and again, that's the direction I'm getting from the auctioneer, saying, hey, I think this gives us the best value, so.
That'll be an interesting auction.
All this dialogue has been in a non-official capacity, since it's not on the agenda,
You need a flow
so,
chart to follow out who you're gonna be able to sell to, almost.
When is the proposed auction?
Well, they'd like to hold it this fall, but, I mean, we're hoping to go through the approval process and hold it this fall. I don't know, how long can you hold an agreement of sale? I guess
As long as the
indefinitely.
agreement
as long as you
says.
put it in there. Are you at least open to exploring what's in the ordinance as far as leasing? If there's
Oh,
something
yeah.
that actually meets it in there?
We're telling you based on what you're showing us, we're not a little crazy about it. If you can show us some other way to do it that complies, or some court case that says, this doesn't really say what it says,
Or
or,
really want to show out court cases?
I'm not sure what's out there, but,
Yeah, okay,
I just have a hard time saying it's okay based on what I'm reading.
yeah.
I think we'd all be in agreement, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouths, that, as Mark cited, I think the first logical thing would be to get whoever Neil is, to
Yeah.
put some literature in our hands to say, here's the most recent instances I accomplished this in this county, here's the hurdles we,
But even if he did accomplish it there, there's nothing guaranteed that he could accomplish it here. I
oh,
think
just the
wasting
concept
time.
alone, I think, would help us greatly in broadening our,
Right.
I mean, we're talking about braving the world about something.
I find this interesting because just doing the dollars and cents in my head, when you take a building lot in Elysburg, it's 40 to 60,000, right, per building lot, give or take. I've never been to it, I've never seen it, but as an add-on, they're not gonna buy that lot for $40,000.
No, and likewise,
I can't see where they wouldn't be able to develop this differently and gain more dollars selling them off as lots. Unless they just wanna get rid of it and be done with it, and I get that too.
right, so, you know, a developer could decide they want to buy the whole thing, put a road in. But to the landowner who doesn't want to put infrastructure in, right?
Understood, yeah, yeah.
And, you know, you take a 1 acre building lot, make it 2 acres, you don't get double the price for it.
Oh, exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So at some point, it's still just a building lot that has some extra area. So the extra area is worth about the same to anybody who already has a building lot. And so that's why, you know, keeping them separate, now 2 people are going for it instead of just, hey, I wanna buy the big lot, not the small one. Now it's several people saying, yeah, I'd like to have a couple extra acres on my property. All right, well, I think I've talked long enough.
Wasn't what I was expecting to see.
No 37 lots, sorry.
Thank you.
I thought it was 5. Seriously, I thought it was gonna be about 5 lots. But that's-
We have the energy to go through this. We've been,
Legging it out.
how are you feeling? This weekend? All right, so a lot of this stuff does not involve planning, so to speak. However, we're trying to do a consolidated ordinance that has a whole bunch of changes, and we want to make sure that the planning commission is on board. So I'll just try to go through it as quickly as we can. Section 1, I don't think that's going to really have a planning commission language. Mark was looking through the thing, and there was a word and instead of or. So we changed the word that has can move under its own power, or has any of the following because it would be effect. So that's not exactly a planning issue, but it's an enforcement issue that we're doing. The section 2, there's a one-way street that our roadmaster's worried about on Airport Road. That's why that section's in there. Section 3 talks about a restoration of the road. So what happens now, potentially we have somebody that comes in and they pick up our road. Section D talks about if there's a pavement mark, in other words, there's a turning arrow, there's a white line, they have to make sure they put those things back. It's not in our current ordinance. Likewise with section 4, letter F, if you dig up our road and then dig it up again in 5 years, we want you to repave the curb instead of just having a portion of it repaved. Now, section 5 is there is just because there was a typo in the word regarding. So there's really no big change of regarding. We're, section 6 involves you guys. You guys get a whole bunch of plans when someone comes in for a plan. We're gonna take that down to 6. So that's one for each of you, plus an extra for the township. That was our suggestion from, I guess, our engineer, maybe you guys. We'll get too many plans. Don't give them all, I'm happy with 6. Does everybody think that 6 is okay? And we also added they should give us an electronic copy to do that. So does that sound?
I've always been a proponent of the electronic version. I think we all,
I agree.
you know, the fire component and.
I agree.
You can be more productive at the meeting if we all see it a few days before or a week or two beforehand. You know, Sunday night, you're sitting at home, you look at it a little bit, you can come here with some questions.
You know, Frank had a PDF in advance.
Yeah.
So this requires them to give us an electronic, which is not the current ordinance. And we only have 6 hard prints. All right, this section 7 is coming from Justin. It talks about how your field surveys are on the intervals. Frankly, I don't understand the whole thing, but I'm trusting that Justin knows how to give you guys a map that you can read that shows the
Just give me a second, we're gonna look that over to him.
That was Dan's forte, right?
Well, I think the first thing he's talking about is to not clutter it up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain, and you don't get too granular, you don't, can't get perspective of the, just has lines piled on top of one another.
It seems like Justin was channeling you when he did this
Yeah,
one,
right.
because it sounds like exactly the things.
Yeah. I mean, the
That we
benchmark has
needed
been
to
a
do.
point of contention for numerous occasions. That's present, so I'm glad to see that remained. Course, no streets. I mean, I'll defer absolutely to Justin. We get so much verbiage on what the source date is. everybody feels that their source data is kosher. Not in every instance is it USGS. There's been a reference to Northumberland County's, Shamokin's this, or
It doesn't our code say that there
NAVD.
is other approved methods besides USGS? There is. And we
may
have
be
that
interpolated. So contours may be interpolated from USGS mapping if approved by the township engineer. So, I guess my question would be, for instances that does not require Justin to be engaged, do we need any verbiage to speak to the contours for those types of plans? Or he doesn't necessarily endorse it?
Well, it sounds to me like they would have to ask for something other, they would have to ask for that, so if they don't, if they do, then they're gonna have to put up an engineering escrow and have our engineers look at other, you see what I'm saying? May be interpreted from USGS mapping if approved by the township engineer, so that if they come in and say, we wanna use USGS, we're gonna say, okay, we need a copy of the plan for the engineer, and you're gonna have to pay for him to make the determination of whether or not USGS can be applied.
Or would it behoove us to have Justin provide a list of all eligible, applicable?
I'm just
Source
looking at the,
statements.
that language is the same as the existing ordinance. What he took out is this says vertical intervals of 2 feet from land with average undisturbed slopes of 4% or less, and have vertical intervals of 5 feet from land with average undisturbed slopes exceeding 4%. So that's what he took out.
So I know he made the change specific to
To
that.
that.
I just didn't know if our
If there's
window of
some-
opportunity here,
Well, while we're changing it, that's what I think your input will be appreciated.
like, again, we often look at each other about what's acceptable source data. So if he could even put verbiage in there to say, including but not limited to, USGS, NAVD, whatever he feels is appropriate for the township. And then we look at the notes, be it the survey notes, recording notes, or whatever, and
That's what I was gonna say, is there 2 or 3 definite sources that engineers use all the time? That we could say, this is what we wanna see, a definite pinpointed.
So I'm writing down language, Dan, that says like source data that would be appropriate includes what's not limited to this, and Justin tells us.
yeah, like I said, I mean, here, vertical datum, North American vertical datum, 1988, so NAVD 88, computed using, GOID 12B. That doesn't necessarily scream out US, it's again, a lot of semantics specific to the biz, and I'd like to think he can provide all the appropriate blurbs that are acceptable based off of plans that have come through our collective desks.
Yeah, I can ask.
If he says, I can give you cliff notes on the topic that has to live outside of here, I would take those as well.
Let me follow up with him on that one. Anybody else have any questions on that section? All right, section 8 we're up to. And some folks don't give us spaces for everybody to sign, so we're just making it clear that 5 planning commission members and 5 supervisors have to give us a spot for them to
It's
sign.
all required from the planning commission is to right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna beef that up.
Just thinking outside the box here. What if there's a situation where there's not 5 members and there's not 5 supervisors due to death or?
Yeah, I think in that case, they need to give us space, but if we don't have people to fill that space, that's
That's
okay.
not a problem. Okay.
All right, here is the, our favorite, section 9, the swale, and the waiver. And as I understand the direction from the supervisors is that they're suggesting that we go with this grassy vegetative swale in ag forest only. And what I did was I took our language from last time and just said, hey, you have to have curbing unless the planning commission with the approval of the supervisors recommends a waiver. And then we consider this waiver in accordance with the following criteria. So the waiver is only in the AF zone. So that's what they told me they wanted. We have a 2-acre lot minimum. We have, ironically, what we talked about today with the impervious coverage, you can only have 30% impervious coverage. And these things are coming from, if you remember, Justin was here, not 2-3 years ago, it's been a while. These numbers are coming from him. The grade of the area located 40 feet away from the bank shall not exceed 25%. So, not a gigantic drop off. We have uniform appearance in the subdivision and stormwater management. One per phase in case there's a phase development. If there's one side that has curbing, the other side needs curbing. I don't know if we still need that in there or not, I left that in. I'm struggling with F, I don't know about F. I don't know if we take that out or just do that in.
It seems to me to be more of an aesthetic thing than an engineering thing.
Yeah. So if one side of the development in the Ag Forest happens to be curbing, well, the other side's gonna be curbing too. Okay. We don't have a whole lot of transitions between swales and curbing. I think we were more interested in or more concerned about that in the residential zones, and we're not letting this in the residential zone. But I did not take it out. Obviously, if there's going to be a serious erosion problem as determined by the township engineer, we would not go for this vegetative swale versus curbing. And likewise, if there's some issue you can't have adequate stormwater management, then you're not going to get the curbing waiver, you're going to have to put in curbs. All right, so how does that?
So this is all being formatted as, this isn't chapter 22, so the planning commission would be able to recommend approval of the waiver. But this isn't, curbs aren't required anymore.
Right.
You have to request
The waiver.
that stormwater management method with a request for a waiver.
That sounds to me the fair way to do it.
In Ag Forest.
In Ag Forest only.
All right, these are from Justin, a spillover parking ratio. I'm trusting him on the size of those spaces and the spillover parking.
What is spillover parking area?
You have as I understand it, basically you have your primary parking for your people, but if it's Thanksgiving, you need a
Right.
back lot.
So what makes it primary and spillover? Do we dictate that? That you can fit 2 cars,
We dictate parking ratios,
parking
and what we're
ratios?
saying here is you're gonna meet that ratio, and then you're going to have X amount of spillover for, like Todd said, Christmas and Thanksgiving and so on, so that there's some additional parking available.
Or when you might have a picnic in the summer.
Yeah, because obviously, not everybody's gonna have a picnic on the same day, or,
Well, not mine.
this person will be at their in-laws for Thanksgiving, and the other one won't be, so that's the theory. Don't require it all the time, but make sure there is enough for a reasonable sense that there may be extra parking. Same with this section 11 about how thick the bituminous paving has to be, and the sub-base, and all those things are just, again, I think they're more engineer-driven than attorney-driven, but that's what they are. I'm skipping over 12, section 12, the same reason. It's, we're using this 25.0 millimeter instead of bituminous concrete paving, just updated terminology. All right, there's a construction observation phase, and instead of just repeating the construction observation phase, I'm at section 13 there. We're gonna just use that in accord with section 513, which lays out the construction observation. You don't need to write it out 5 times in the ordinance, we'll just have one simple place to go to.
Section 514,
Yes.
okay.
Hopefully that's the right.
You said 513.
Oh, okay.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah,
I
5.
thought, I didn't know what he said.
Okay.
It's getting too late. 514 is what I wrote, and hopefully that's the right section,
Okay.
I'll double check. All right, section 14. The bottom edge of excavation or fill shall be a minimum of 10 feet from the property lines of developed lots. So don't cramp the excavation, keep it back. Section 15, ditches and swales shall not exceed a channel depth of 36 inches. Again, Justin's recommendation. Section 16 talks about a completion certificate, so after somebody's done with their plan, we have a certificate of completion. I think we do that now, don't we, Mark? At least we
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, but we basically haven't issued one because we don't, nothing's,
Nothing's moved.
no development has gone through the improvements in
So why, what did we change in 16, I guess? If
Let me
it's
see.
existing. Everybody's going, geez, we were doing good, he said something.
Slow us down. 507, what was that, Harvey? 507.3.
Top three?
Justin's just saying, many municipalities require submission of a as-built drawing prior to releasing financial security.
so we don't require that.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what he's saying, make sure they have the financial security taken care of before we're going to release their, give them the certificate of completion. So that's what he's adding.
Okay, protecting, yeah.
And an as-built would be nice to have because there have been situations where storm boxes have not been put where they're supposed to be. Maybe for the better, maybe not, but they're not, they don't match. So an as-built, we know that.
All right, section 17, you just clean up how we clarify which stages of the construction require inspection. And really, when I look through this is more updating terminology than it is. He added a section 12 with other site amenities, just to give a little bit more authority to go out in case something else is more unique on a plan that doesn't fall within the other 11. Section 18 is just a slightly different spot where this vegetative swale comes in. And, yeah, we talked about 3 horizontal for 1 vertical, just so it doesn't get too steep to mow. 19, we're back to almost non-planning commission things, but with the zoning ordinance. We had an issue with those electric fences. So this changes the ordinance to prohibit electric fences except in AF. So if you have your neighborhood,
Why would she even have to put that in there?
We
we have,
have to put that in there.
there's a reason that needs to go in.
I understand.
But that doesn't pertain to underground dog fences,
No, it's just the,
like a cattle fence.
yeah, this is, because some people may think in a
That
residential
sign down
zone.
in Knobles that says no farms.
Yes.
No ag.
Yep, I have no heart shine on whether that's there.
So I want to brace on Brett's question though, is that, I can clarify to make sure that it doesn't. I don't think an underground dog fence is what I'd call a electric fence, but maybe, it is plugged in, isn't it?
They are electric.
It is, mine is, I mean,
Everyone, yeah, they are.
I've got
I had one.
1,100 feet of, now, it's not a lot of current,
No,
but it,
it is. And the difference of it is you have to have a receiver,
right,
where the other fence you just touch it.
right,
So should I say,
The person that doesn't have the receiver doesn't get shocked.
right,
what if I just change it to above ground electric fencing?
above ground,
Yeah,
Make
okay,
sense?
yeah. My dog, all I have to do is put the collar on him, I don't even have to turn the fence off. He associates the collar.
It comes to that.
Let
That's a good
let
training.
me ask a question of clarification. And any fence or wall in the side or rear yard may be 6 feet, which I think right now we're at 4.
No, we're at 6,
We're at 6?
we're at 6.
Or more in height, because I hate my back neighbor. Provided, however, that any fence or wall exceeding 6 feet in height shall contain openings therein equal to 50% of the area of that portion of the wall. Oh, exceeding 6 feet.
Right,
Why would you, I don't understand.
there's, let's say, you could put up a stockade fence
Oh,
that's
maybe
6
6
feet.
feet or more in height.
Right, so
Okay,
you could put up a stockade fence at 6 feet high.
okay,
If you want to put anything above that, it has to have 50% opening, and that's a UCC thing based on wind. You're
Okay,
creating this
okay.
big plane
Yep,
for wind to act on. And somewhere along the line, they came up with this 6 feet with 4x4 posts will hold up to. But once you start extending that above 6 feet, the wind, it's in the building code in the first
Okay.
section, the wind ratings, they want 50% opening for the wind to pass through. So you put up like a lattice
yeah.
on anything above 6
I-
feet.
I didn't realize you were saying exceeding 6 feet, okay. For some reason, I just thought it was at 4. Okay.
Vertically exceeding 6 feet.
Yeah.
The staging area, if a contractor wants to come in and they're doing, you know, a lot of work in the area and they want to rent a piece of ground from somebody, not all the neighbors are happy when that takes place. So we're gonna have a permit issued by the code enforcement officer that has the code enforcement officer consider material layout, parking, sanitary facilities, lightings, gradings, to see if there's any issue with the public's health or safety.
No, but Vince makes a good point. Are we gonna charge for that permit?
We could put that on.
My concern too is, give you an example. The one over on Hillside was large enough to require an E&S. They actually had an E&S, they actually had a plan from Mike McCleary on what was gonna occur there. Do we wanna put in there, I'm trying to read here, see. No, I don't think we have to, because it says the code officer shall consider parking, material layout, sanitary facilities, proposed lighting, clearing or grading activity. So basically, I can say, what are you gonna do here? And if they say, oh, well, we're gonna stage 2B stone, topsoil and so on, I can say, you need to go, you need to get something from Conservation
found-
district.
This isn't exactly a standard provision in an ordinance, so I found stuff from, I don't know if it was Georgia, I found like bits and pieces of that ordinance and bits and pieces of those, so I combined about 3 different ones to try to give you something to,
I think the fact that the code officer shall consider clearing or grading activity, stormwater runoff, and the trustees stand by public health and safety is not jeopardized. If I'm looking and saying, wait a minute, I think that supports me asking for that
if you look through that, this is the first time you're seeing that. I probably should have told you about that, but, yeah, look at it, and if you have any changes, let me know.
okay.
And that is it. Those are all the proposed changes. You are the first folks to see this.
So are these back or these are ours?
We can-
Where's the sword there,
There's the benchmark here.
It's my signature block.
Exactly.
So I'll follow up with Justin on those Dan's concerns and make those couple things in the fences.
It's more so, it would, like I said, greatly help us, not as much a concern, but a,
Guide.
yeah.
It's something that gives us what parameters, what else is an acceptable source.
He has to have that list. I mean,
Do
there's new technology coming out, and there's probably things that are very antiquated since I
you
did my.
speak to Justin on a regular basis?
I do, but I won't be anymore.
Or the new guy even?
I do.
This would be a great question for him. Ask him about the body of water on 2 parcels.
I will do that.
If he's,
Actually,
he'll probably have to go to Justin if he's new.
no, he was at the meeting with Josh and I, he's pretty sharp.
Is he here?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty sharp. I didn't notice that the pond was split because when he showed me the plan, I went, no.
You shivered all over.
Oh, this can't happen, you know. If I'd have noticed that just would have been another shiver in the sequence.
How deep is this pond, does it
But
matter?
if there's nothing in the code prohibiting that, besides your personal safety concerns,
That's gonna be, if that's anywhere, that's gonna be in Title 25 of DEP's.
Yeah, I think DEP will have.
I think DEP,
Is it a pond or is it a puddle?
It's a pond. If you Google it, we looked at it one night, I never realized how big it was back there. My kids have been back there and stuff. And I just come, and there's deer back through there because there's an old apple orchard and there's water, so you go back through there.
if that's anywhere, that's gonna be in DEP's waterways,
Yeah, but if we
encroachment.
approve it,
Oh,
and DEP doesn't even know we approved it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
I'll
the-
check Title 25, because that's where the general permits come from, and see if there's anything in there that says the ownership of a body of water has to be, sole ownership.
I don't think it does. I was at a bed and breakfast, and they actually had the pond owned purposely by different lot owners.
Well, I know Harvey's Lake, you own that piece of frontage.
Yeah.
I'm just, but all that
you
being
own the
said.
frontage, I don't think you actually own the pond.
I know when my brother was in Florida, he owned a lot that the house was on, and the houses were all around a lake. And the lake was in ownership of the homeowners association.
Right,
It
right.
was,
yeah.
you bought a house,
Same thing.
you had a fee you paid for, your home.
Or Al Nur, Junior, they had to all pitch in X amount of dollars to rebuild the dam.
Right, so I'll look at it, but I think, I don't know, if it's anywhere, it'll be in Title 25.
I'm pretty sure riparian law is only applicable to, like, streams.
I think it's navigable waters.
That's what I'm saying, which basically means you just need to afford the guy downstream more, or equal amounts of what you got.
No
I mean,
encroachment, no
Can't dam it up
damming.
and-
And again, I don't know the topography of that, but knowing Sam and Robin and Jeff and Debbie, especially Sam and Robin, what if something happens with that pond and it releases and devastates their pool and house? Who's responsible, both homeowners? Or both?
Well, I think any insurance
Maybe hire an
underwriter,
engineer to figure it out.
Depends on what side the lot comes out.
Well, you know what I mean?
Is
But I
it fault?
think-
I've never been back.
would that be a township issue? Wouldn't that be the insurance company's issue? If we're gonna insure your home, we're gonna underwrite this policy to include liability for the pond. I know I mean, if you own a pool, you put a pool on your property.
Right, yeah, but if there's an existing pool and it's between two properties, would you buy half a pool and I buy half a pool?
Don't swim in my hat.
There's no difference really, I mean,
Don't,
when you compare them, there's
don't
really no
pee in
difference. What's that?
Don't pee in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Any additional new business for the order of the,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
well, let's not skip past citizen input. Is there anything,
I just want to thank you guys for your work here, and I wanted to mention that Penn State Extension does have continuing education classes for planners, and they have webinars. You can like get a subscription to their webinars for planning. It costs money, but on the Elysburg Local League website, there are links to that. And you probably already know there's a
I think if you're a PSAP member, which Rothfield Township is, I think some of those are free.
great, I just wanted to mention.
Because I've gotten into stormwater ones, and had something to do with the fact that we're a PSAP member.
We get those bulletins every once in a while too with planning courses offered.
Yeah.
You're a piece.
okay, well, thank you. Excellent.
Oh, and you can watch this on YouTube. The Sunbury American downloads it. So you can watch your meetings on YouTube if you want to go back and look at
We
it.
couldn't bear to watch.
I-
The camera.
Once was enough.
The camera adds 10 pounds.
Good idea.
Yeah.
You ever heard that, remember that line?
Motions to adjourn, I believe I hear.
Second.
Okay. So we're in at
What are you-
8:22.
You ever see that?